of climate change and explore how this will alter all of our futures. Karen Tucker, book editor. Section 1. Wild Weather. What We Know About the Climate Change-Hurricane Connection by Michael E. Mann, Thomas C. Peterson, and Susan Joy Hassel. In the fall of 2017, Texas was just beginning to recover from the devastation wrought by Hurricane Harvey, and the southeastern U.S. was preparing for Hurricane Irma's imminent arrival. In the face of such storms, people are naturally asking the question, what role might human-caused climate change be playing in all of this? Scientists have been more than willing to weigh in on this question, but often with different perspectives on the data they should draw from, which has, at times, led to more confusion than edification. Part of the problem is that there are at least two fundamentally different ways of addressing this problem, and they reflect a different philosophical approach. The first approach is to account for the simple physical processes at work and what role they may be playing. There are certain indisputable linkages that we can talk about immediately because they have already been vetted in general rather than for any specific storm. For example, even if we could say nothing else, we can conclude that sea level rise has contributed to the coastal flooding associated with recent major hurricanes, nearly a foot at Battery Park in New York City in the case of 2012 Superstorm Sandy, and roughly half a foot in the case of Hurricane Harvey. The seemingly modest 1 foot of sea level rise off the New York City and New Jersey coast made a Sandy-like storm surge of 14 feet far more likely, and led to 25 additional square miles of flooding and several billion extra dollars of damage. What about the increasing strength of these storms? Here, too, the science is fairly conclusive. Whether or not we see more tropical storms, a matter of continuing research by the scientific community, we know that the strongest storms are getting stronger, with roughly 8 meters per second increase in wind speed per degree Celsius of warming. And so it is not likely to be a coincidence that the strongest hurricanes on record, as measured by sustained wind speeds, for the globe, on the Northern Hemisphere, the Southern Hemisphere, the Pacific, and now, with Irma, in the open Atlantic, have all been observed over the past 2 years. A stronger storm means not only more damaging winds, but a bigger storm surge as well, adding to the coastal flooding impact of sea level rise. Furthermore, a warmer ocean surface means more moisture in the atmosphere. A fundamental rule of atmospheric thermodynamics, known as the Clausius-Clapeyron equation, indicates an increase of roughly 7% more moisture in the air for each degree Celsius of increase in sea surface temperature, SST. Global SSTs have risen now the better part of a degree Celsius, and conditions in which SSTs are several degrees Celsius above normal are now more common as a result. Unusually warm SSTs contributed to the flooding power of both Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irene in 2011. Other connections are more subtle. Part of what yielded the record flooding associated with Harvey and Irene was the slow-moving nature of the storms, which allowed for persistent rainfall over eastern Texas and New England, respectively. The slow movement of these storms was favored by an expanded subtropical region of high pressure over the southern U.S. and a far northward shifted jet stream, something that climate model simulations predict as a result of human-caused climate change. There is also some tentative evidence that the warming of the Arctic may favor the stalling of mid-latitude weather systems, though this is at the cutting edge of the science and still being studied. The second approach to understanding the linkage between human activity and extreme weather involves a sort of climatological CSI, running simulations of a climate model both with and without the impact of human-generated greenhouse gas increases, seeking to detect a trend and attribute the event in question in part to those increases. As recently as a decade ago, climate scientists had a motto that you can't attribute any single extreme event to global warming. By the time politicians and journalists started repeating that line,